What's up, Yins? This week on Car Dad Bill, we have an unbelievable special guest. Guess what? Yes, it is. It's the 2022 Ford Lightning F-150. Another dope feature, and I don't know if it's obvious to everybody, is this ridiculous light bar that goes all the way across. It houses your sick headlights. It goes all the way across. You don't need a normal grille. And then you fly around back here and look at these tail lights. Look at these things. I love lighting, and these new cars are killing it with the dope lights. And then it goes all the way across. Your backup lights are right here, and they're pretty bright. It's just awesome. Good stuff. Pretty dope at night. Look at that. And it's got lights in the running boards as well. It wraps all the way around the back. However, I am not a fan of those. They are not attractive in my opinion. Let's get some better ones. All right, Yins, standing outside the Ford Lightning. Still can't believe this thing's here, and we're getting to take a look at it. Charging port on this side, the other side's fake, and then you flip this down for your fast charging DC. Awesome. Look at this exterior. It looks just like a Ford F-150, normal one, but you lost all of the grill and need for cooling up front. And what do you replace it with? But a frunk. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is a trunk in the front. Junk in the trunk up front. I don't know what that's called, but that's hilarious. And there's the charging part. There's actual plugs over here with some USB capability as well, which is kind of neat. If you don't close that, it will tell you when you're driving down the road. Hit a button, and there goes the frunk. I mean, it's legit hood with just trunk space. Now, this one's the fake one that I was telling you about. At nighttime, this all lights up, and there's that light down there as well. Just overall styling is pretty subtle. And then you have this dramatic tail end with the awesome badging. But then look at that 3D tail light. Like, I love it. And I love the backup lights being up there. And the camera for your backup sensors. And there's another one up there as well, up on the top. Regular size bed. Automatic bed too. And then there's lighting on the sides that's on a button, and then you have your generator, your onboard generator as well. What's up, Yins? Inside the Ford Lightning. Look at this thing. All this different stuff. Whoa, look at that. Huge screen, right? Huge screen. All the different compartments down here as well. This folds forward to make like a desk, because you can hit this button and actually send that down there. So that's pretty cool, just to make that flat. You also have your charging areas down there for your phone and for whatever else. I should probably have the keys down there, but I like having this closed because I just like how clean this dashboard looks. Really nice. Two different compartments on that side. Now this screen houses everything. It's going to have your CarPlay or your regular radio, whatever you have up at the time. Then up top here, you have your actual settings for all the different modes for the truck. So you have your sport mode setting, your off-road setting, all that stuff. But now, when you change that stuff over there, this screen over here also changes and gets different colors and different shades of everything. The truck's actually changing while you're hitting these buttons. You can feel the truck do different things. Sport mode gives you all the marbles. And when I say all the marbles, it is fast. Good grief. So there's your drive modes. There's all this other stuff in these different settings. You can X out of that, go back to your CarPlay. You have different offerings down here as well. You can set that up to your liking. Down here, your HVAC, dedicated HVAC controls. It's not my favorite way to do it, having touchscreen for everything, but it works right now. We'll see how long that lasts. The only dedicated buttons you have are your defroster, your four-ways, parking assist, and your traction control, which you are not going to want to take off with all this torque. But again, really clean interior, digital display, everything that goes on, on this side, controls up there. Pretty cool. Let's go for a ride. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching up to this point. I love bringing these car videos to you guys. I love getting these cars to drive. Please subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it. All right, guys, in the Ford F-150 Lightning, and I want to go over the numbers on it real quick before we get on the road, because once we get on the road, it's so much fun to drive. I just want to give you my impressions instead of going over this stuff. Although this stuff is super important. 22 Ford F-150 Lightning, all electric truck. This particular as tested model that I'm sitting in has the extended range battery dual motor. That equates to, listen to this, 580 horsepower, 775 pound-feet of torque from a 131 kilowatt battery. That battery, when charged fully and under ideal conditions, keep in mind, 320-mile range. That's not bad. That's actually, where it should be. That's where it needs to be. If you had the standard battery pack, same motor, dual motor, but the standard battery pack, you would get 230-mile range. You would get 452 horsepower, same torque numbers. That's just mind-blowing. Let that set in a minute. Because when you experience that on the road, when you experience 700 pound-feet of torque at your fingertips, not let alone in other vehicles, gasoline vehicles, but when you feel it in a electric vehicle on demand, it is a definite different feeling, and it definitely changes how you feel about all these different vehicles and all that stuff. Important numbers to keep in mind is the price, right? So the MSRP for this one was $67,474. That was just the base model Ford Lightning. You add the Lariat Edition, the extended range battery, and that stuff jumps it to, as tested, $81,084. It's expensive, but this is like the cutting edge technology right now, right? And all that torque, all that power goes to standard battery pack, 7,000 pounds towing, and with the double like we have, 10,000 pounds towing with a 2,000 pound payload rating as well. Now that range when I go online and when you guys go online and look at other stuff, the range that people are getting when they're towing max payload, you know, is not quite 300 miles. And depending on what the terrain is that you're going to with that load, it's going to also, you know, decrease some of that range. So keep that stuff in mind. Let's get on the road and talk about this thing. All right, guys, on the road, and I want to go over my takeaways on this one, because we've talked a lot about other stuff and had a lot of other things going on. I want to keep this thing brief. The first couple takeaways on the Ford Lightning are the good takeaways and the obvious takeaways, right? Power. This thing has so much power. The torque numbers are astonishing. And then when you're actually driving it and you stomp on the pedal, and the way this thing takes off, it just sits down and goes. It's something to behold. It's spectacular. It's the technology. I'm a car guy. This stuff's changing, and this is like on the cutting edge, and it's really cool stuff. Second thing on my takeaway is this drives drastically different than a Ford F-150 normally drives. It's not nearly as like bouncy and wavy, especially in the bends. Like I'm on a back road, like a country road kind of, where you can't go fast all the time. And I do that on purpose because I like to see how these cars handle these different little roads. And this thing, it's like driving a supercar that's a truck. It's so fast, but it handles pretty well, and it doesn't float off the road. So that's a plus. When you are looking at an electric truck, I think it handles pretty well for that. The last two things on my takeaways on the positive side of things is number one, the range. 300 and some miles on a range charge is spectacular. That's exactly what you want, because then you can charge it at home, top it off. If you need charge while you're out, you can go to a supercharger and charge for like 20-30 minutes and get a big chunk of that back. So I think 300 plus range is the sweet spot. And then the last thing is the clean driving. And when I say that, I mean, not only are you electric and you're not giving off any kind of pollutants while you're driving, and it's super quiet, but there's no like other parts. You know, you have the frunk where the engine used to be. You don't have any gasoline, oil, transmission fluid, coolant, any of that kind of stuff. Just your braking mechanisms, your motors, your batteries, and everything else is electronic. Now, that gives its own problems, and that lends itself to its own issues down the road. You know, how much your battery is going to cost, all that stuff. We'll go over that in a second. But the feeling of driving this, charging it at my house, at my home charger, it's a pretty cool feeling, and it's nice to take part in it sometimes. Last couple of things that I wanted to go over with this car or this truck is, you know, what are the long-term things? So the first thing is long road trips. And that's like the first downfall, right? Everyone that I've talked to about this so far has said, well, what do you do when you want to go on a long road trip? And honestly, it's just basically time management at that point. You can still charge this at waypoints anywhere in the country. It just takes 4, 5, 6 times longer than it would to be to just throw gas in your car, your truck, your SUV, and drive. So you have to plan out, like if you're gonna go somewhere over 600 miles away, let's say, then you're gonna probably need to plan a leeway point somewhere in the middle where you can charge the car and stay overnight or something like that, and then, you know, break up the trip that way. But for normal day-to-day commuting to work, going to hockey tournaments, going to baseball tournaments, taking your kids to musicals, whatever your family does, you know, on a week-to-week basis, especially around now with the sports season and you have the holidays and everything. The perfect amount of range, in my opinion, especially with having a home charger. I think that's a prerequisite to having electric cars. You need to have the ability to charge it at your house overnight. That way you're always leaving the house with pretty much full charge. And that's a pretty cool feeling when you get to do that. Next thing on my takeaways, it's kind of on like the other side of the good, is the long-term heavy use and the cold temperature climates. Like, how is this gonna hold up long-term in cold environments? And if someone wants to tow it all the time, say someone has a 6,000 pound trailer and they want to haul that trailer all the time, is that going to really be a detriment to this overall system, or is it just going to be part of the game and it's not going to really affect it? Well, I guess we'll see. Another fun fact, just like any other electric car or car that regenerates, hybrid car that regenerates braking into power, this Lightning does a really great job of having one pedal drive when you're in sport mode and you want to really like hammer it down so that when you let off the throttle, it's charging immediately. But then when you're in normal mode and the other modes, you're able to coast when you're on like a flat road, and it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't charge, doesn't do anything else. But then when you start to go down a hill and you can just gradually let off the gas and just roll down the hill, it charges the entire time. So I love that ability to regenerate while I'm driving. We're coming up to the highway here, to an on-ramp. I'm gonna put the truck in sport mode. And when it's in sport mode, it literally goes insane. Onto the highway. And it's just silent. All you hear are your belongings flying to the back of the truck and the wind noise. That's literally the only thing you hear. 700 pounds of torque at your fingertips. Like, I'm gonna pull out and I'm gonna step on it a little bit, and it's like, it's almost comical. And when you're in sport mode like I'm in right now, you don't really need to manipulate the brake that often. You kind of leave your foot in it. You keep moving the way you're going. If you really want to get after it, you put your foot into it. And if as you let your foot off, not completely, you do slow down. So it's interesting. I think everybody needs to experience this just once and go take a test drive of it or something. It's something else, man. It is so much fun. Car Dad Bill this week. Real cars, real people, real life. Please subscribe to the channel. I can't thank you guys enough for already subscribing, already watching the videos. It's been a blast. Thanks for watching.